Hello friends, welcome to a new topic today. In this chapter, we are going to learn about the next important topic, which is bronchiectasis. Okay, so what is bronchiectasis? What are you going to see in bronchiectasis is important, right? So, in bronchiectasis, we are going to see what is bronchiectasis. It is here you have two things occur in bronchiectasis. One is obstruction occurs in bronchiectasis, and there is also infection occurs in bronchiectasis. Because of obstruction and infection, this leads to the destruction of smooth muscle wall. Okay, this leads to the destruction of smooth muscle wall. Why is this destruction of smooth muscle wall? Because of this obstruction and infection. Because of this destruction of smooth muscle wall, this leads to dilatation of airways. Okay, this is important thing which occurs in bronchiectasis. So if you see what are the etiological activities of bronchiectasis, there are many syndromes and many things which are associated with bronchiectasis, which we will see in a minute. Okay, before we go into the actual details of bronchiectasis, I would like to first, there are many one-liners in bronchiectasis which are usually asked. So I will explain you all the one-liners. So before we go into the one-liners, so I would like to discuss with you with few images. So these are the dilated and inflamed airways which are present throughout the lung, and these are actually filled with pus. So these are called as bronchiectasis. Okay, these dilated and inflamed airways are bronchiectasis. Let us first see some pathogenesis. I'll just explain you how this bronchiectasis occurs. So in this bronchiectasis, first there is bronchial obstruction. Just a minute. Okay, first and foremost there will be bronchial obstruction. Okay, right, because of this bronchial obstruction there will be impaired clearing mechanism, right? Normally there will be clearing mechanism which occurs, right? But here there is impaired clearing mechanism. Because there is impaired clearing mechanism, the mucus which is there, that is pulled up. There is pulled up of mucus. Okay, this mucus gets pulled up and this will invite the infections to come. Okay, this infection obviously leads to inflammation. This inflammation leads to first necrosis and finally leads to dilatation of airways. Okay, so this is what happens in bronchiectasis. So let us see this is the chest x-ray which you see. Here you see many extensive bronchiectasis. These are the inflamed airways which you are seeing. Okay, this is the bronchiectasis picture which you see. Now what are you going to see in histology? In histology, here you see, so this is the bronchiectasis. Okay, in histology you see again, this is the dilated bronchus. See, this is very big dilated bronchus and it is hypertrophied, and in the lumen you see lots of inflammatory infiltrates, and you will also see lymphocytes here and there and aggregated lymphoid. These are the lymphoid follicles also. So these are the things which you see. This is peribronchial area. This is peribronchial area, also shows lymphoid follicles. Okay, so these are the different things which you see in bronchiectasis. Just look it properly. Okay, then here this has lower lobe saccular dilatations are seen here. Okay, this is also bronchiectasis. Next, these are the pictures from Robbins. Okay, so here you can see these dilated parts which are there. So these are the dilated bronchi which you see and which are typical for bronchiectasis. Okay, then what are you going to see here? Here these are, see, this doesn't this look like tree in bud pattern? Okay, so that is bronchiectasis. Okay, so here you have bronchiectasis in the lower lobe. Then what are you going to see here? Here you see lots of inflammation. See, this is the bronchi, and in the peribronchial space also you have lots of inflammation. Even here you see lots of inflammation. You have necrotizing inflammation which you see with tissue destruction. This is important in bronchiectasis, where there is dilated bronchi and there is necrotizing inflammation with tissue destruction. Next, if you see in bronchiectasis, what are you seeing here? Multiple rings are seen, ring shadows. See, these are the multiple ring shadows which are seen, and there are also air fluid levels are seen here. Okay, so this is the bronchiectasis. Even here you see targeted image of lower base where you see tram lines. So this is tram lines, and this is ring opacities and tram lines are seen here. Okay, then this is the CT of bronchiectasis. You see lots of segmental bronchi which you are seeing, and this sign which you see here is called as signet ring sign. Okay, so this is dilated segmental bronchi are seen. See, these are very big. These are cystic bronchiectasis. Okay, you have multiple ring shadows which you see here. Even this is a bronchiectasis, but here these are like this, like these are cylindrical. So this is cylindrical bronchiectasis. See this is shows multiple impactions with dilated and subsegmental bronchi. So these are the subsegmental bronchi which are dilated in the upper lobes. Okay, so these are the different pictures which you see in radiology. So let us see some few points about bronchiectasis. Okay, so what is bronchiectasis? Bronchiectasis is chronic obstruction and recurrent infection of bronchi. This leads to destruction of smooth muscle wall, leading to dilatation of airways, right? So this etiology is very important. Okay, you can remember this by the mnemonic acquired sick airways. I will even tell you why this results in bronchiectasis also, the pathophysiology of each of them also. See, acquired bronchial obstruction. As I have already told you, whenever there is bronchial, see, the main pathology is here. This is the bronchi. Okay, this is the bronchi and this is the alveoli. Okay, there is bronchial obstruction here. Okay, because of the bronchial obstruction, the mucus which actually has to be cleared, that is not being cleared properly, right? So because the mucus is not being cleared properly, what is happening here? This leads to the the mucus gets accumulated here. Okay, because of this infection which you have, this mucus gets accumulated here. Okay, once there is accumulation of this mucus in here, this accumulated mucus will now attract the bacteria. So because of that, the bacteria will come and they will start to proliferate, and this will lead to the formation of inflammation. Okay, these bacteria will lead to inflammation, leading to necrosis of bronchial smooth muscle. Okay, because of this necrosis, it causes the present condition of bronchiectasis, which is dilated airways occur. So because of this dilated airways occurs, right? I have already told you this. So let us see where you can fit all these into. I'll just show you where you can fit each and everything into. See, this first is acquired bronchial obstruction. Through this foreign body or neoplasm, stenosis or mucus plug, anything is causing obstruction will lead to bronchiectasis. Second, pulmonary sequestration. What is pulmonary sequestration? Pulmonary sequestration is one part of the lung lobe is separated. Okay, even this at times it has become obstructed. So even this causes bronchiectasis. Infection and inflammation, obviously at this stage you have bronchiectasis. Then if you see the cystic fibrosis will have impaired ciliary mechanism. Obviously this will predispose to inflammation. Okay, then Carter-Jenner syndrome, it has impaired ciliary mechanism. Okay, alpha-1 antitrypsin will directly cause necrosis of smooth muscles, leading to bronchiectasis. Okay, IgA deficiency, rheumatoid arthritis or Campbell syndrome, all these will cause inflammation. There is William Campbell syndrome also. Allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. It is the infection of aspergillosis. So as a result, it also causes bronchiectasis. Then Young syndrome, yellow nail syndrome also causes bronchiectasis. In smoking, it causes inflammation leading to bronchiectasis. So these are the ways how all these important things will also, important syndromes and etiological factors will cause bronchiectasis. Then here, if you see in bronchiectasis, infertility can occur in bronchiectasis. In infertility, males is more than females. So what is this Carter-Jenner syndrome? Carter-Jenner syndrome is rhinosinusitis, infertility, bronchiectasis and situs inversus, and this is called as RIBS. That is rhinosinusitis, infertility, bronchiectasis and situs inversus. Then we have something called as Young syndrome. This is only RIB, that is rhinosinusitis, infertility and bronchiectasis. So this is something which you have to remember. Then we have already said there is William Campbell syndrome, which leads to bronchiectasis. What is William Campbell syndrome? This is congenital cystic bronchiectasis. William Campbell syndrome is congenital cystic bronchiectasis. So these you should remember. Next, if you see, this bronchiectasis is most common in left lower lobe when compared to right middle lobe. This is most common in left lower lobe when compared to right middle lobe. This bronchiectasis is also prominent in airways. See, this is most common in proximal airways, that is allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis. Nodular bronchiectasis occurs in Mycobacterium avium complex. Okay. Upper lobe bronchiectasis is uncommon. Where does this upper lobe bronchiectasis occurs? It occurs in TB, cystic fibrosis, allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis and bronchiectasis sicca. Allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, bronchiectasis sicca, tuberculosis and cystic fibrosis. In these cases, you see upper lobe involvement. Then there is something called as dry bronchiectasis or bronchiectasis sicca. Okay, in this there is no sputum. See, bronchiectasis is like you should have sputum. This is copious sputum is seen in bronchiectasis, but this is an exception where there is no sputum production in bronchiectasis is seen in dry bronchiectasis or bronchiectasis sicca. Okay, you'll have to remember all these. I know it's difficult to remember, but you have to remember. Then there is right middle lobe bronchiectasis. This right middle lobe bronchiectasis is more common in a syndrome called as Brooks syndrome. In Brooks syndrome, right middle lobe bronchiectasis is most common. So in this bronchiectasis is irreversible airway dilatation. That is important. See, in bronchial asthma is a reversible airway dilatation. Here there is irreversible airway dilatation, and it occurs in 5th to 9th generation airways, that is medium sized airways with a dilatation of more than 2 millimeters. The most common organism which is implicated in this bronchiectasis is Pseudomonas aeruginosa, followed by Burkholderia cepacia. Okay, so these will occlude the lumen, leading to dilatation of bronchi. I have already told you the pathophysiology. So what are the clinical features? Clinical features are the child or adult, he will have cough with expectoration, which is many mucopurulent, fetid expectoration is seen. Thick tenacious sputum is seen, and if you auscultate, obviously you see crackles and wheezing. This is a chronic disorder. Because it is chronic disorder, clubbing is most common in this case, and there can be hemoptysis can occur. And if you see in children, the infection of bronchiectasis can be traced back to the episode of whooping cough or measles. Okay, so this is very important. Then it is traced back to whooping cough and measles. Sorry. Then how are you going to diagnose it? I have already shown you chest X-ray with tram tract lines, even HRCT with tree and bud pattern and signet ring sign. All these I have shown. This thing I didn't tell you, which is sputum examination. This is normally we are not doing right now, but if we examine the sputum, that is if we take the sputum in a test tube and we rest the sputum for some time, then you see appearance of 3 layers in bronchiectasis. The upper layer which you see is froth, middle layer is turbid and mucopurulent layer you see, lower layer which is opaque and purulent layer is seen. Okay, then you can do bronchography also. This bronchography is done by passing a bronchoscope, and then you can, with the help of this bronchography, you can actually classify the type of the lesion. Okay, HRCT is the gold standard. Okay, then we have said there will be tram track appearance in HRCT. Sorry, in X-rays you see tram track appearance. Where do you see tram track appearance? Tram track appearance is seen in kidney biopsy. You see in membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. In non-contrast CT scan of head, tram track appearance is seen in Sturge-Weber syndrome. In chest X-ray, tram track appearance is seen in bronchiectasis. Then, what are the treatment options? Treatment options, always if there is infectious, you should give antibiotics. You can start it with oral ciprofloxacin. See, all these antibiotics are from Harrison. Okay, so these are oral ciprofloxacin should be given. You can give tobramycin aerosol also. Macrolide can be given and alternate days. Okay, you can do chest physiotherapy. Why is chest physiotherapy is done? This is to remove the mucus expectoration. You can give mucolytic Dornase and other oral and systemic glucocorticoids can be given. And allergic bronchopulmonary aspergillosis, if you suspect, you will have to give fluconazole. Then, if there is acute exacerbation, then you will have to give oxygen antibiotics, which are piperacillin and tazobactam can be given, or you can give ceftazidime. Okay, what are the complications? The complications are, remember, this is remembered by the mnemonic severe the bronchus. Okay, see, what is the pathway of having this complication? That is also you should know, right? So how does this all these things happen? So we see, so there is obstruction, right? First there is bronchiectasis. So this bronchiectasis, there is infection, right? So because of infection you see pneumonia. Okay, obviously this is an obstructive airway disease. Okay, so because of this infection it can lead to empyema and lung abscess. Okay, this infection can go to brain, leading to brain abscess. Okay, this bronchiectasis, by some ways it causes vitamin D deficiency. This vitamin D deficiency also causes osteoarthropathy. This infection can also go to the knee, causing septic arthritis. Okay, because of this bronchiectasis it can also lead to chronic bronchitis. Why severe hemoptysis? Because of repeated coughing, the vessels can get ruptured, leading to severe hemoptysis. Among all these, the most common complication here is cor pulmonale. I have already told you why cor pulmonale, because in bronchiectasis there will be increased pulmonary hypertension. This increased pulmonary hypertension will cause back pressure to the right ventricle, causing right ventricular hypertrophy, which again causes back pressure to the right atrium, causing right atrial hypertrophy, which again causes back pressure to the inferior vena cava, leading to increased pressure in the inferior vena cava, which causes hepatic enlargement and also pedal edema. So this is right heart failure. Causing having right heart failure due to pulmonary causes is called as cor pulmonale. So cor pulmonale is common in bronchiectasis. It also occurs in it also occurs in chronic bronchitis also. So obviously there is pulmonary hypertension, and this secondary amyloidosis can also occur. So these are the important things. What is the most common complication of bronchiectasis? Cor pulmonale is the most common complication of bronchiectasis. What is the most common cause of cor pulmonale? The most common cause of cor pulmonale is emphysema. What is the most common cause of acute cor pulmonale? Most common cause of acute cor pulmonale is pulmonary embolism. So I have already shown you the microscopic picture where you see bronchial epithelium which is ulcerated, and you see the bronchial epithelium having multiple inflammatory infiltrate, and this bronchial epithelium is also surrounded by the peripheral infiltrate, peribronchial infiltrate is also seen, right? And what are the types of dilatations? You can see cylindrical dilatations, fusiform dilatations, saccular dilatations, and varicose dilatations. Now the question is, among all these dilatations, which is most common? The most common type is cylindrical dilatations. This is most common type. Okay, so this is important, you should remember this also. Cylindrical dilatation is the most common type of dilatation. So this is about the bronchiectasis. Thank you guys for watching my lecture. Thank you.